Good evening, everyone, fellow travelers on spaceship Earth. It is I, and I am Guy, coming to you live from Applewood Station in Denver, where it's a paltry minus 4 degrees Celsius, something in the order of 28 degrees Fahrenheit, 27 degrees Fahrenheit. So, anyway, here we are, us being us and doing our us thing. So, in the grand scheme of doing the us thing, I'm going to get back to what I was doing before, which is hammering away relentlessly at my comic. So here we are, working on the pages as we've done before. All right. I don't know if the music's working. Looks like it's working. Yeah, it's working. So, all right. Scene opens with people trying to disconnect the kittiwake from all of her ground doodly wops here. And Mirel takes Alex out to the launch ramp and says, "You'll be safer here." And Alex says, "Safer? I mean, you saw what happened to this planet, right?" That's much better. I mean, like, bad things didn't go well. Bad things happened to this planet. I like that one better than what I had there before. Originally, I had her say, "Safer, you don't like the odds." Then it was, that didn't end well. I didn't stop right. So, but I like the idea of them dumping the kid on the planet that just got completely and totally thrashed. So,
That doesn't sound like a thing that could happen.
right. So it was like, well, this is the third issue to the comic that you just read, the first comic. This is the same story. So you remember they jumped into the system and the planet had been moved.
Yep, somehow.
Right.
They didn't know how.
And they still don't know how, not at this point, but the readers now know sort of what's going on because it involves Alex.
Right. The time displaced.
Mm-hmm.
So
she's the time displaced kid. So they've had her on board the ship through issue 2.
But again,
and in issue 2, we've learned a couple of things. One, Alex has an invisible friend, which is an AI of some sort, and smarter and quicker than the AI on the ship.
Gotcha. So her invisible friend exists.
Yeah.
Gotcha. As opposed to being imaginary existing friend. Which is kind of what they were wondering for a while. If I recall right.
Hello, Brent.
The voice in her head is actually there.
Yeah, his name is Max, and he shows up as a cat.
Ooh.
So he's been
just to her. Right.
He's in her brain somewhere.
Well, interestingly enough, That could be explained by just like some of the impulses in the optic nerve that equate to the image of a cat. So that's easily explainable. That's why she can only see him all around thing.
Well, it's totally explainable.
Right.
I just haven't explained it yet.
Tech is teching, right?
The tech is teching.
Yeah.
It's down the road.
I like this idea that he's a black cat.
No. He's a white cat with specialized marking.
Nice.
Ensign Cayman is going to turn into a dragon. Yes, yeah, that's exactly what Cayman's going to do.
I mean, Cayman is a big lizard, so it's not a bad guess.
No. Close.
Yeah, or even you saw him Cayman Islands. So.
Right. Now we're making jokes about the AI. So the ship's AI is Ensign Cayman.
Okay.
And he's newly aboard. He's a new AI. Just almost born yesterday sort of guy. He's eager and all fluffy, and he loves the idea of being a pilot, and is sad that he can never be a pilot because AIs have to shut down whenever they're in space for complicated reasons.
I'm trying to remember, do you have anything like before the 11
It doesn't, fresh out of the birthing pod. Yes and no. It's pretty much all that way because the only way the AIs can show up is via a holographic projection. And the only way that the Jacine can be seen in normal everyday operation is via holographic projection. So the Jacine don't actually exist in the ship's real world because they are from a high pressure planet. Their home world was a Jupiter type planet, and they live deep in the clouds. So this atmosphere is too light for them; they'd explode. It'd be the bends. It'd be the worst case of the bends ever.
Right.
So they can't live here. So what they do is they live in a special compartment of the Kittiwake, and then project themselves as crew members wandering around through the Kittiwake's halls and stuff.
So Cayman's an AI. Cayman's like that's where I kept going back to the idea of him, like, maybe at some point he would want to be a dragon, so he shows up with another.
Yeah, you could. Or they would freeze. Well, it doesn't really matter. They have the same, Brent is saying, I thought they would freeze. They have the same problems we do in hard vacuum. So the same kind of things that go bad for us go bad for them in our atmosphere. Yeah, it's a bad day. So they've got little spacesuits that they wear whenever we're in space so that they could still operate and move around the ship. And sometimes they choose to wear those spacesuits, normally, because then they don't have to use the holographic projection system. But they can use the holographic projection system like the AIs do and show up in various places in the ship. So there are 5 races. There's the humans, then there's the Jacine, we just talked about them. The AIs, we talked about them. We have the Najor, which are kind of like amoebas. So they can form any shape they want to. And so they tend to walk around as humanoid, but they tend to make themselves unique in a different way.
Oh, like Odo.
Yeah, like Odo, except that they don't look like Odo. But yeah,
roughly-ish.
Roughly humanoid, but they don't have to be. Their doctor is a Najor. But the Najor also don't do well once they get into in-space. Then the 5th race that's there is the Chakrana. And the Chakrana are kind of like tortilla chips with legs. They've got 3 legs, everything's a 3. So their symmetry is in thirds. Mm-hmm. So, but they're a shell because they grew up in hard vacuum. Their planet's hard vacuum.
There was like a tripartite symmetrical books. They said they were a big fuzzy ball on a tripod of legs, and the outside just had a tripod of eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And they were apparently they were very, very cowardly, and that was considered to be insane. If anybody was brave, they were considered to be crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And so the member of their species that showed up in all the adventures was by the lights of his own species a crazy person. I'm trying to remember the name of the book.
It's all good.
And that was a fascinating kind of dynamic because, of course, all the humans were like, "No, you're normal." And he's like, "No, seriously, I'm nuts." So,
Yep.
because I'm not a human. Being like
Yep.
this means I'm crazy.
Yep.
So
So
it was just a whole thing.
So yeah, those are the 5 races that exist. Those are what we call the 5 cooperative races. So there are other races that are out there, but they don't cooperate. So they don't become part of the Federation because they don't cooperate. So that is the fundamental in the unity. The way you know you are sapient, I don't know, whatever you want to call it. The way you can join the galactic cultures is that you have to have passed cooperativism. There's a level where you must be a race that cooperates with one another. At that point, we got to that point long before we got to any other point. That's the thing. So that's the kind of the point of the unity is all 5 of these races hit a point in their development where they cooperated.
Right.
So can someone use an AI body or of another race transposed, such as a super strong Kelvin type or a smaller bear-like race for small compartment repairs? Yeah. I mean, honestly, Donald, that's kind of one of the things is like, if you've got small repairs or whatever, you can definitely, people can send their little AIs in and they shrink down or whatever. But I mean, there's only so much the fields can do, like the push-pull fields, right? A hologram of a giant to carry big things. It's funny, that actually isn't the way that it works here. Usually they just make a mecha to do it. That's why we have things like legs on the MPV, and why there's legs on the fighters, because that's what they do. Is they'll either walk or stand, or in the case of the fighters, it gives them the ability to quickly turn their engines around the other direction. So, right. So yeah, they're Titan mecha that live mostly in air, in like the large docking bays, like when we're talking about the home ships, those huge docking bays that are in there that hold like squadrons of destroyers and stuff like that. You'll find mecha in there, and the mecha just walk around and pick up ships and then move them over here and put them down, and then pick this up and move it over here and put it down. Kind of like messing with toys. And inside there's probably some little Shakrana who's like do and working all the controls and controlling the things and stuff. So, but yeah, totally, that is totally the plan. And part of the reason why we have mecha. And welcome to the show tonight, Donald. Good to see you here. Mecha are cool. That's what Donald just said. Mecha are awesome. Just saying. We're all in agreement here. Nobody here disagrees. Mecha are cool. And it allows me to design more mecha. How can that possibly be bad? I kind of envision those mecha, the Titan mecha, being kind of like, let's see here, I'll grab a piece of paper. Yeah, they're huge. They're designed for, they're for moving spaceships around. So, but you've got like these legs that fold onto each other. So they've got the 4 legs and like a main pod. So they can walk on these legs, but they'll fold back up.
That makes more sense than having that.
I feel like Brent's just arguing with us so he can argue. Brent's like, mecha bad. With the tongue sticking out emoji. Yeah, he's trying to start a fight. Which is not uncommon for Brent.
Well, I'm gonna start like
Right? The pink song starts right away.
so what? Paparazzi.
Something kind of, we'll figure out something that looks a little more elegant than this, but this is the way I kind of envision it. So then it walks on these legs, but it can fold them all up into one unit.
Yeah, makes sense. I'm just imagining like the just like with the first ships, shipping ships,
Mm-hmm.
mechs, meching, mechs,
Yep.
mech, Pelican,
As long as it's got a Navy pilot and a Marine gunner.
Mandelbruts.
See, Donald's now Donald's being the instigator. Trying to pick a fight with Brent. Sometimes you just gotta stir the pot. Between the two of you, you're all stirring the pot out there anyway. Yeah. Pink song. I'm glad to have you here, Donald. I'm always glad to have you here. I'm even glad to have you guys stirring the pot. It really wouldn't be the same if you didn't. We have some inter-service rivalry going on. You can probably see.
Army, it's Army Navy.
No, it's Navy Marine.
Oh, well, I mean, come on. I mean, Marines are like they get carted around by the Navy.
Yeah.
How much fighting are they really going to do?
You're only going to get involved here too because you're Army.
Oh dear.
This is my buddy Anna, and she's Army. Just giving you fair warning. She's Army.
I mean, oh, water bugs. What am I trying to do?
Right? Off y'all go. Yep.
Just because one eats crayons.
Right? We're just saying. Like I said, you're now definitely starting fights.
Oh dear.
Oh yeah. That's cool. I'm having a hard time parsing that. So wait. Army ain't a real Marine yet, says Brent.
I never liked the taste of crayons though. How do I acquire it?
Oh, see, this is how things get down. This is how things go down. So Donald, real quickly, in the middle of this fight, Donald, you're getting a card maker tomorrow night at poker, and your cousin's bringing you an item from the memorial at Pearl Harbor. Those are two different things, right? Not the same thing. It's like the card maker isn't related to the Arizona Memorial. Navy, never again volunteer yourself.
You know?
Public transportation and babysitter to the Marines.
Also required until it's not expected.
Just saying.
Yeah. Do the different colors of crayons have different flavors? Inquiring minds want to know.
Inquiring minds want to know. I don't know if I like this size or this shape. We're going to have to come up with a different concept. That's right. We'll come up with something else.
The reason we argue though secretly is because we all very much respect each other.
Of course it is. That's why I let it go.
Everybody.
Navy is the Uber for the Marines. No, actually, I totally know that Brent and Donald respect each other greatly, and I know that they both respect you and you respect them. That's why it's not a problem for you guys to all spar.
Like, a military person came into this, started talking shit, we'd all be like throwing at
Yep, at them.
Right. Excuse you.
Donald says, "I love all my Marine friends." I'll add because they taste like chicken.
Dude.
Because I have to add that. If you say that, you just asks for it.
Are you saying Marines are other white people? Are you really?
I'm not saying that I know. I'm saying the bears told me.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Bears.
Those bears.
No polar bears lie, right?
Yep.
They're
They lie on the ice, and they lie over there, and they lie in your house, and they lie on your bed.
Big, fat, furry liars.
Furry liars. All right, back to my story. We love the squids.
Squid are delicious. Never had a single problem with seeing myself.
You know, just saying. It's an old drinking game. If you give good insults, everyone takes a drink. It's a common thread amongst them all. The Bears. It's the greatest team in the world.
No,
The Bears.
no. Bears. Freaking Bears win. Half the time.
Let's see. Okay, so.
What about the mechas? What's going on with them?
Oh no, I don't know. I'm in a different world over here.
Okay.
I'm still trying to figure out how to get Alex off the ship. As a writer, I'm trying to get her off the ship because I need her on the planet
Kicked off summarily by the crew members
for something bad. Right.
Yeah.
They just took her in the last episode or the last issue. The crew took her in and put her in the VIP quarters, and
Does she want to be on the ship?
yes, and the story needs her to be off the ship. She doesn't want to be off the ship per se. She likes it there.
A couple different issues that she like gets, accidental jettison of an escape pod.
Oh no, I've already got it. I'm working the rest of the scene.
Yeah.
So what? Space Force, the True Guardians of the Galaxy. We are in trouble.
I should let her raccoon
because it's the Chair Force.
I'll give her a raccoon and form, right?
So it's funny. I don't have any buddies from the Air Force. I'm just realizing that.
About the Space Force. I'm gonna go like Pearson, just go and just like let her raccoon and form and see what happens.
Right, but I'm just saying that like it occurs to me my buddies are Marines, Navy, and Army, but I don't have any Air Force buddies.
I mean, my sister's Air Force.
There you go.
Air National Guard, rather.
Oh, that's National Guard though.
Well, that's the funny thing is that it's technically the Air Force Reserve calls themselves the Air National Guard because they're freaking weirdos. I just don't understand them. But,
Fly boys don't know art. That's fair.
What can they do? What can you do with the Zimby?
All right, so I got to get back into this. So the problem that we're running into tonight, and I think I have it solved, is I have too many pages at the end of the comic, and they desperately need to be up somewhere else in the story. But the only time that we've got Alex and Mayrel and Navin in the same spot is at the very beginning and at the very end. Between that, all the crap goes down in the story that has to be dealt with, and we have to figure it all out, and all this stuff, and all the plot of the story happens. But what I'm thinking is that, okay, let's try this one, guys. So, the very beginning of this episode, we put Alex ashore because, hey, it's going to be too dangerous, so you stay here. She makes a wisecrack about on the planet that literally got destroyed not more than 5 days ago. So just saying, And then they're like, yeah, well, do what we can. And then when that happens, then the next thing that they say is, this is where we can do if you guys come back, can I go with you? And Mayrel will look at Navin, and Navin will say, well, I mean, non-combat ships can carry, she'd have to join. She'd have to join the Navy. She's 14, which is above the age of minority, which allows her to be joining up because she doesn't have parents. So,
I mean, how would she? Is that how she stayed on? Did she just join the Navy out there?
no, she's going to join the Navy when they come back.
Oh,
I just need her to be on the planet when this episode goes through, or through the issue, or through the episode. At the very end, all the things happen and everything fixes itself and all is right with the world. But then at the very end, the problem that I've got is the everything goes down on page 26 of 32. And so we need space for an epilogue where they explain what happened and how that worked. And what's happening is we needed a space for that epilogue, and we needed to have this whole 4 pages of her going, "Can I join the Navy? Yes, you can, because you're above the age of minority. And since your parents aren't alive, and yada yada," like all this like exposition that we have to go through. And I'm like, that's going to be rough putting it at the very end. Plus, it eats up all the pages that I've got to the end of the issue. And so I'm trying to find a better home for it. And I think I like it here, right at the very beginning. Yeah, right? Have her do a video chat. She's on Zoom. So, okay, so I think that's what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these pages that allows this. I can change this one right here to be just her. Yeah, she becomes a rating. Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, part of this is that there's a slightly different set of rules going on for the Unity than, say, the traditional militaries that we have. And one of them is when you're dealing with a bunch of different races that hit puberty at different ages and hit majority at different ages and things like that, you end up with a lot of different rules, effectively. And so, yeah, exactly, Brent. That's exactly what we're going to do. Can I join the Navy? Yes, but not until after this fight so that you don't die, and stuff. But yeah, I mean, this is something that actually I had been talking out quite a bit a while ago with a buddy of mine. And that was this whole concept of if you have races that sometimes mature at different times than others. For example, the AIs can mature really quickly. They'll hit age of minority at like a year and a half, and they hit majority at 3 years or 4 years. And that's the end of college for them, you know. Yeah. But as long as she's of the age of minority means you can make some decisions for yourself provisionally. So that's the age of sexual maturity for every race. And all the races have a different age for that. So it's just called the age of minority. When you hit and that's where, especially if you do not have your parents anymore or a guardian to guard you, then you're assigned somebody who is designed to watch over you. And then you're allowed to make provisional decisions for yourself. And since Alex doesn't have her parents anymore, she's allowed to make decisions for herself with provision. So, and somebody will adopt her, so to speak. And actually, that'll be Mayrel. So, Mayrel will be ultimately adopting her, sort of doing it anyway. Between Navin and Mayrel, they've been hanging out with her the most. So, they'll adopt her in a way. Yeah, the female version of West Crusher. Except that she won't, because she'll be a rating. So she'll be somewhere down the bottom of the ship, cleaning phaser conduits. Or yeah, it should be lower decks. So she she won't be up there, which doesn't matter because the important part of this is the job she plays between this and episode 7 or 8 is to show you how the Unity's military works. That's going to be her whole job. She's going to meet every so often with Mirel, and they're going to sit and have these little bits in there where they sit down and she's like, I just learned how Mazer works and stuff. Right. The computer. Well, and that's the thing is that she's got right, that's it. You got it. Realigning phase conduits and scanning chips for errors. You have to scan all of them, including these that are behind this layer. Why didn't you tell us that before? Because it wouldn't have been as funny. Yes, exactly. That's exactly right. So, that said, I can jump now from there to here. Let's take this scene right here, shrink it. There. We've got nothing better to do during these long flights. We figure out who's making graffiti. And Donald was talking about rogue people making graffiti on the ships. I think that's something we do on flights. Transit times.
I mean, I'm surprised that that. But fans of all of that.
Oh. Mm-hmm. Yep. All right. Really cool subplot. The captain was here. Who wrote this? I've never been. Oh, it's kids somewhere. It's kids. It's always kids. Yep. All right. This scene now can stay pretty much the same. All right. So we can hold this one the way it was. The Brayton shows up. Says this is the UMC home ship Brayton, any receiver in the moment system, and then says we received your distress signal and are dispatching ships to assist, including the UMC Renham, which is a battleship. And then next page still fits. This is what Chang says. I'll be damned. Helm, all stop. 00 relative. Open a channel. And she says, UMC Brayton, this is the UMC Kittiwake, dispatched from the home ship Polaris. We're holding station there awaiting orders. She says, how did you get here? And then they reply, Kittiwake, good to see you. As to how, that's a weird story. All right, that works still. Everything still fits on this one. I don't think that needs to be changed. Sergeant Bitterspec. Bitter. We just kind of call him Bitter. Is he bitter? No, we just don't call him Green. He's just bitter. Turns out in the end, all of that graffiti was the gunny sergeant. Apparently, we have issues with our gunny sergeant. According to Donald, we have.
I mean, it would never. Like,
So we got a problem with our gunny sergeant. That's just saying.
if any legal kind of person is going to be a freak like that, or not,
Right.
money would come to that. Always know it.
Gripe a lot. Yeah. The pride of the fleet. All right. So then we have, this is the scene between the president and Chang. So then it's president, which doesn't say president. Let's just put pres. So we know who they're talking about. So a thread just appeared. Chang says, yeah, looks like it, Mr. President. The jump that wrecked the planet was probably a precursor. Congratulations, you're the first thread junction on this side of the wall. The president says, does that just happen? Chang says, we don't know. It's never happened before. But we've only had threads since the war, and 500 years isn't really a long time, galactically speaking. Who knows what they can and cannot do. All right. Then we can move on to this scene over here. And then that should close it out. And that'll close the story. I'm just getting all this text sort of figured out. All right. Oh, that's a good question. If the president is on Kittiwake, it becomes Moment One, doesn't it? Because the president's the president of Moment, not the president of the Unity. And it's actually that senator we picked up in the first issue, which means that I probably ought to make that clear somewhere along the line. Maybe right up here somewhere. Because we'll have to make that clear that he's the let's make sure we're doing anything here. We're talking about it. No. This is X. And a president pro tem who doesn't want to be the president. So we've got it over here, but maybe we should do something a little bit different with this. Just give it a little bit more because I feel like that needs to be sort of said. There we go. Because we didn't really explicitly mention that he's the president now, because he's that senator from the first issue. So. Right. It would be funny if you did an emergency shuttling at some point. Ended up with calling the princess the moment one. Yep. All right. All right. Not really. No. Oh yeah. Give them a little like metal placard. Once called Moment One. All right. And we also have a weird girl on our ship. What? The girl, Miss I speak an ancient language and seem remarkably out of place in our world. That girl. Her name's Alex. So, two questions. First, why are you obsessed with this girl? And two, don't they feed you in the mess hall? In reverse order, because my mama told me that stolen food has no calories. And why aren't you worried about her? Chang says, I am, but I'm pretty sure I know what she is. And then Bennett says, "Oh, want to let the rest of the class in on it? Oh, beloved sensei." Chang says her memories are all messed up. She thinks she's in a different place and time than she really is. These are all side effects of a designer person, a gen mod. Then there's a pause. And then Bennett says, "You think she's genetically created to be a concubine? That's quite a jump." And Bennett says, "Why would she speak a dead language then?" And Chang says, "I speak Mandarin. It's all part of the illusion." There's a pause. And Bennett says, "So there's a cartel here on Moment?" "I don't think so. She escaped like I did." Huh. Poor kid. That gives them on a red herring chase, which I like. They're off on a different tangent and gives a little bit more on the backstory of Chang. Then, Skipper Gravitics, please report to the bridge. We have a situation. Then on page 30, it looks like Moment Control sent out a search and rescue team about 9 hours ago. They were looking for that freighter that was headed back to Volatrix, the Thomas Bregman. They seem to have they have been trying to raise the SAR team for the last hour, and they're just getting silence. I went ahead and ran a gravitic sweep, and I can't see the Bregman or the SAR team, but that's not our problem, sir. This is. And then Chang says, "That's an interesting gravity footprint there, Gunny." And then Better Spec says, "Yes, sir. Looks like two screening units, probably destroyers, and they're inbound." And then she says, "They're not ours, are they?" And Better Spec says, "No, sir." And he says, "I can't be sure at this range, but best guess is that they're Commonwealth. And with this big of a footprint, they're coming in hot." "Hey, Mashing, how are you doing tonight?" And then we got the two Commonwealth destroyers coming in. That's a good stop on that one. And we get a lot of time in here on what to do with Max and Alex, so you get to know them a little bit better and find out that's not what happened to them. Rebooting your D&D game. What you rebooting out there? Oh, yeah. The PvP system is pretty lousy on D&D, but I think that's mostly because the majority of us don't usually use a system like that. So that might actually be very useful for people. So once you're done, maybe make some kind of module out of it or something so that other people can use it too. It'd be cool. The magic system, it's interesting you would say that because our GM or our DM, I guess, um, um, the our DM has just done the same thing where he decided to make our magic system revamped so it's easier. He did it in story, but it was still fun. You're Hmm. That sounds pretty operable. I need to be careful doing this. I just realized I think we've already set up issue two, which means dinking with issue two is dangerous because none of the text has been set, or all the text has been set, rather. So let's go in here and get back. All right. Oh, that's kind of cool. That's nice of you. Are you playing 5e? That's fair. Well, and you don't have to mess with all of the kind of complicated junk that comes with AD&D, and even 3.5 gets kind of confusing, which is one of the reasons why Pathfinder keeps messing with it. Yeah, I can see that. There are there have been over the years a number of systems that I have seen, and I have to admit that what you're headed for is one that I like a lot better. That system where it's by team, so the whole team does things. The only time that you're going to run into a problem with that is, you know, the let's call it blue and red team. Blue team sets up this elaborate plan that they put into effect where the bard does this and the warlock does that and the two rangers are going to do this and da 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 da. And then red team, it comes around to red team and you find out that one of them had a thief who could do backstabbing and would have gone and done that to the leader of the blue team before the blue team had managed to put off all of the things, and you don't end up with the granularness of the breakdown of communication from that point. So let's say the person who instigates this is the bard. The bard plays the little musical thing and gives everybody bardic inspiration, and now the entire party can gets a +1 on all of their attacks. But if the thief can kill the bard before that happens, everybody will still be engaged in their attacks because it'll take a second before they realize that the bard's gone, right? And so that causes sort of a realistic failure of communication on the battlefield. And that's kind of one of the reasons why you end up with trying to figure out which way you want to go on this one. Because the solution I have found that works the most in that situation is that the thief on the red team would be able to effectively do his turn on blue team's side as a special ability. And so then it goes into what stack of where in the stack does the thief make the attack that causes that. Because I mean it's not just that, it's that one situation that's out there, like the commander is sitting on the back of the horse and goes, everyone prepare to, and you hear whap, and he gets hit in the side of the head by an arrow and falls off of his horse dead. And then all of that side gets all chaotic and screwed up because now their leader is just in the middle of doing some kind of inspirational speech and everybody was looking right at him when he got shot in the head, and now he's dead, and that kind of thing. So that's the reason for that back and forth on the initiative, is that the fast fighters can get in there and do fast things before the commanders can send out their instructions, or if you have a fast commander. So those are the only things that I think that if you've got that mechanic, the other groups that have used that mechanic before, I feel like have had an exception, you know, special traits. So yeah, exactly. So make it a special trait to have a thief that can attack in the other person's side. But other than that, I think that's a better way to handle it. Have everybody on one side do one thing, and then have everybody on the other side do the other, and then you may even decide to what was it that there's a when you're playing Attack Wing, which is Whiz Kids, and it's an interesting game because everybody puts in their orders for their ships, and then they go in the order of which the captains are at. So if you and I are fighting, let's say, and I've got a Federation fleet and you've got a Romulan fleet, then we all put in our orders on these little special turn dials that are flipped face down. So you can't see them. So nobody can plan what happens during those order sequences. Oh, yeah. Mashing, the reason that I draw is because of that right there. That's the reason why I draw. Because I, too, am so happily and blissfully neurodivergent and could not stand the 10-minute fight sequences where it was 10 minutes between turns. So I started drawing during my D&D games. And I kept drawing, and here we are. You know, I still draw during my games. Like, that's a thing I still do. The good news is that we have had a number of DMs who've been offended by that. Like, they were upset that I kept drawing and like I wasn't paying attention. I'm totally paying attention. He just did this and rolled a 15. He did that and rolled a 2. He did the, and I prove it out, but I usually have to, do the freakish number thing to make them stop thinking I'm not paying attention. But I'm not going to sit there for 10 minutes staring at the DM, waiting for them to do it. Yeah. So, let me finish real quickly what I was saying about Attack Wing, just in case it has something you can use. Because the idea might be good, especially if you're doing a PvP version of it. It might be good for you to have them write a system down where they write what they want to do down or do something to indicate what they want to do. Either that you can make them have little like cardboard cutouts that say attack or defend, or you know what I mean? So like you put them face down, everybody decides what they're doing and puts those face down in front of them. And then that way they're committed to an action. And then when it comes to them, they can't just do they've all decided to attack and kill the commander, so I'm going to stand back and shoot them with the arrows. They've committed to pulling their sword out and coming and charging at them, so they can't back out of it. Because where you're going to run into the unfairness is Team Blue is going to do all of this stuff, and then Team Red is going to get the advantage. Because once Team Blue has decided to do everything, Team Red gets to see what the battlefield looks like. So they'll get to react to it. And I mean, granted, they'll also get to do stuff, but then Team Blue gets to react to it. But when you start having 7th or 8th level spells being slung around, and all of a sudden people are using Disintegrate and things like that, it's going to be one turn. The fight will be decided by one turn. So Team Blue will, all of Team Red's charging up the hill, and Team Blue fires off a Disintegrate and nails the commander, and the commander's gone. Now Team Red can regenerate the commander before Team Blue can do anything else. Yeah. So all I'm saying is you might want to do a deck of cards. Just go get a normal deck of cards, and on each card with a Sharpie, write attack, defend, use magic or something like that. Find and then have everybody pick one, and they have to commit to that. And then that way you don't end up with the errors that you'd get in a fight. You know what I mean? That's the only problem with the one side versus the other. Just a recommendation. You don't have to follow it, of course, but you might find that the way that kind of boils down. You'll find out that these people are like, oh man, the other side always gets to know what's going on, and that's not cool. And even make a set for yourself as the DM. And in that way, you too can select what you're doing before the battle starts. That would at least make it fair. I mean, you'd still be able to choose what magic you'd want to do, or what attack you want to do, or hold if you wanted to hold or whatever, and stuff like that. So that would still be a thing. But yeah. In fact, the more I think about this, the more I'm kind of like, I like this. Wouldn't it be kind of cool if there was like a card that had like a randomizer on the bottom of it, so that if the character gets confused or something like that in the middle of the battle, you have to roll on the random chart to see what your character does, right? So like the card says fight, or whatever, and at the bottom it's got like if the plans don't go as planned, what does your character do, sort of thing. Yeah. Freeze, turn around and run, whatever. I think that'd be kind of cool. I don't know how I'd build it, but now that you mentioned it, I'm like, that'd be kind of cool. Yeah, I don't blame you. But now that you've brought it up, since you brought it up there, Mashing, I'm kind of thinking of something like this too. Because I have to admit, battlefields are messy, and I always feel kind of, from my point of view, I've always kind of felt like it's too clinical. Oh, I'm not robbing your idea. I promise I'm not stealing your idea. But I am thinking about it. I'm not GMing anytime in the near future, so we're not letting Troy off the hook for GM. He's too good at it. He's gonna be doing it for a long time. But it does make me think about it, like, because I don't disagree with you. I like the chaos. And what I really like is the thought that there should be a bunch of like a chaos sort of thing. And now when I'm saying chaos, I'm like, like you're green, you're a level 1 fighter, right? And that means that every time you go out there, these cards that have the fight, flight, whatever, they've got fight or magic or hold. And each 3-second turn or whatever, you choose one of these cards and you lay them face down, and you don't let any of the other players see it. Definitely don't let the GM see it. And then, if the GM's in the game, the GM has to choose first before the players then can work it out. That's cool. And the only thing I'm stealing from this is the fact that you instigated this discussion. Because I kind of like it. I'm kind of liking what you're saying here. What is it my friend says? I'm liking what you're smelling. I'm smelling what you're cooking or something. I don't remember. Yeah, I don't know. Smelling what you're cooking. I have no idea. Now I'm kind of thinking about this card idea. Got a card, and it says, fight. And when it says hold, defend. When it says, magic. I'm thinking about the way that Savage Worlds does it too. Because Savage Worlds is wild. So I don't know if you're familiar with Savage Worlds, but they use a card system. So you just have a normal deck of cards, 52 cards, standard poker deck. And every turn, you distribute the cards to the players. And it starts from the highest to the lowest. If you've got a joker, then your side has a benefit. Whatever happens better. Then it's aces, then it's kings, queens, jacks, all the way down to twos. And the suits have a special order too. So like clubs go before spades and hearts go before diamonds, and yada yada yada. And yeah. And that's so the way that Savage Worlds handles that is, if you've got the benefit, the feat, if you will, of double hit, then you can shoot twice or strike twice or whatever. But the second strike has a -2. So my character, for example, we're playing an Expanse game. So we're in the world of the Expanse, and my character has double pistols, and she can shoot once with the normal strike, but if she shoots with the other gun, then it's at a -2. So she gets penalized for firing twice in one turn. But that said, she only shoots twice in that turn because she's got the benefit of that. Everybody else shoots once in a turn, or strikes once, or does once, or whatever. So moves 5 feet, whatever. That's another one. Move. Right, and it does level the playing field between your fighters and your magic users. Like your fighter can only strike once, and your magic user can only throw one spell. But spells get weirder as we get higher up into the higher ranks of things. And anyway, they start acting strange and behaving differently. Anyway, I like my idea of my card thing. So there you go. Yeah. Oh, yeah. But then you end up with things that take more than one turn. And that's part of it. Like, you end up with things where you have to prep it and stuff like that. That's part of the balance of the game, is that the more powerful the spell, the more it's got to be sort of set up and rigged. Which I don't know if people actually do all of that. We don't really do that, come to think of it. We just sort of fire these spells off, and then you burn through spell slots. I don't know anybody who actually goes out and buys all the little pieces and then maintains tracking on all of those. There's a lot of them. Maybe just cost is good enough. Right? Said no DM ever. It's true, right? Who's going to sit there and go, you don't have two feathers? Yeah. Mm-hmm. That sounds pretty reasonable. That's equitable. There you go. The thrust of this particular two-page scene is going to be Bennett saying, "So, you have a plan for these two destroyers and stuff?" And Chang's like, "Yeah, yeah, sure, totally have a plan. What is?" And then Bennett's like, "Really? What is it?" "Well, I'll just make them see the error of their ways, and then we'll have dinner or something." And Bennett's like, "So you don't have a plan?" And that's gonna be the rest of that scene. Not yet. All right. The Ranger class, yeah. Well, good luck on that. I mean, I have opinions, but
Stop and ponder.
stop and ponder because I'm trying to figure out when I'm going to bring this message in. So, back one issue. We go here to this issue 2. Right in the very beginning here, the Thomas Bregman is at the 5 light hour safe line, right? So they're seeing some kind of thing, and the last thing he says, is let's signal that Unity ship. We're pretty far out, so give me a tight beam. And says, this UMC Kittiwake, this is the Thomas Bregman just inside the MT line. We're about to make the jump to in space, but we wanted to make sure you knew about an anomaly out here. It looks pretty similar to and then the ship gets destroyed. So that signal is creeping its way across the system.
The one with the story things?
No, signal. They sent that message from 5 light hours out.
Gosh.
So at 5 light hours out, 5 hours later, the Kittiwake's going to receive that message. So I sort of went through this whole thing of them firing off that message, and then I didn't do anything with it. And now I'm kind of back at, did we want to have them contact? Why would they be contacting the Kittiwake? I think the answer to this one is they're not contacting the Kittiwake. They're sending it back to Moment Central. That should be our real answer. That's why we have a problem.
That makes sense.
Because the reality is, we're already here. There we go. Moment traffic control. This is the Thomas Bregman just inside the MT line. About to make the jump to in space, but we wanted to make sure you knew about an anomaly out here. It looks pretty similar to the anomaly. And crunch. That's much better. Kablamo to the Thomas Bregman. Pour one out for the Thomas Bregman. And their goofy little crew. There you go. Let's signal moment. We're pretty far out, so give me a tight beam. Moment traffic control. That works a lot better. All right, Admiral. Let's drop the ball and prepare for a transition. Aye, sir. Shut down computers 3 and 6, and let's leave 2 on for a few more minutes so we can finish the report for arrival at Bellatrix. Huh. What's that? Looks like some kind of gravitic shelf. Okay, that fits. All of this works, and this feels pretty good, pretty accurate. We had one other thing we were fixing over there. I feel like the music's getting repetitive.
Yeah, it is. I've just done the same several chords for the last number of minutes.
Oh, there's Skipper. So, how's it going? As you'd expect, it's like There we go. I kind of like that even better. All right. Ho there, Skipper. So, how's it going? Or ho there, Skipper. Hey, how's it going? Well, about as well as you'd expect. Looks like we have something in the order of 15,000 missing or dead. Wow. And then she says, and President Pro Tem, who really doesn't want to be president, but is doing his best to hold on the fort. And then Bennett says, wait, so our beloved rescued senator isn't actually interested in being in power? He's ruining the stereotype. Cheng says, I'm kind of worried about him. I don't think he's dealing well with what he's gone through. And that fits a lot better. Okay, so, you didn't do what I wanted you to do. I said, hmm. All right, there we go. This is the only line that I'm having a problem with. Not because it's a problem with the line itself, but because it doesn't connect well. The next page then reads, and we have a weird girl on our ship. That's Bennett. Which is fine. It just doesn't, I need to get into this part of the section. Or this part of the story. I just need to figure out how to make it so that it works. Which I'm feeling like I'm running out of steam, so I probably will go ahead and sleep on this one and come back to it tomorrow and tackle this page 127. Yeah. Not terribly worried. Go through and fix it.
A lot of sentences. Should add like this one to the end. No, it doesn't. I'm a girl. I just studying trees.
It does definitely change it.
Red.
Although not as dangerous when you add it to me. I'm a cultural anthropologist studying cultures like this one. Well, yeah. I mean, like that one's kind of under the.
And then you have to have a little notebook and a pencil.
So, how long have you thought you were in your own culture? Do you often think you're in a culture? Yeah. Starts becoming more like a.
What's your culture to improve by adding more bread?
Right? Exactly. Would that help or hurt, would you say? Speak honestly, because this is for science. I always like that. Speak honestly, for this is for science.
No.
Yep.
Really creepy.
All right. I think I'm.
Super tired now.
Oh, that's not good. I am going to close my stream down because I think I am done coming up with cool things to do at the moment. And legitimately, I'm going to. Oh, I think I've lost both of them. We're on mashing now. I'm not sure whether Donald's still out there or not, but I'm pretty sure we've lost Brant a while back because he's got work tomorrow, so he's already gone to bed. Yeah. So
I appreciate you.
doesn't bother me at all. You got work done too, and that's the whole point behind these things. It's the whole point. Whole point's try to get as much work done for all of us as we can. Mashing's out there hacking away at a module for D&D, or at least a homebrew patch.
Nice.
And so that's pretty cool.
I don't know if I could ever be a GM. Extra game work.
It depends. What I've discovered for being a DM is there are two ways to do DMing. And there are multiple ways of doing DMing.
Two main ways?
Yeah, there's probably two main ways to do DMing. You can just follow the rules as written, or you can get annoyed with them and fix them. And that's, yeah, Troy's been doing it. I used to do it all the time. I would, I didn't feel like there was enough gravity or granulation in the way that things happened. If you rolled your dice, it just, you hit them or you didn't, and I didn't feel like that was good enough. So I usually included a whole bunch of ICE tables, which were always considered over the top. Everybody considered ICE tables to be ridiculous. But I had every ICE table I could get my hands on in a little book, and I converted the way that the rolls worked so that you could get the granulation of it. And I liked that. And that was better than the other things that went on. And everybody has their different things. And now, after kind of doing that a little bit, I'm actually kind of coming around to what mashing is coming up with over here, which is sometimes it's better to just make it simpler and not so crunchy.
Right.
Yeah,
it's kind of Troy's done.
Troy is trying to get to less crunchy too.
That one he kind of made the magic, the wild magic thing going on.
Maybe. I don't know. I think he may actually have something else that he's trying to go after, but that's all right. Knowing Troy likes to put layer upon layer in a game.
It could be that it's kind of like multi-purpose. Both simplifying and for illustrating that magic is working very differently right now because all the gamers.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, what probably would be really good for you is to either come up with a cinematic game that doesn't have a lot of combat, and that's the nature of it, or a non-cinematic that does have a lot of combat, and that's the nature of it. Because then either way, you're following the rules pretty clearly, either the ones that you've laid out for the story or the ones you've laid out from the books. So,
right.
But it's not difficult to do GMing. You're just being an interactive storyteller. The hard part is not railroading people. I need everybody to go to this warehouse. You all hear the boss say you have to go to this warehouse. Well, I don't want to go to the warehouse. I want to take a nap first. The boss is gonna fire you if you don't go to the warehouse. Like, you have to figure out a way to make it work that it doesn't sound like you're just forcing people into this you've got to do it thing. Yeah, I just moved it. But I'm going to go ahead and close this down. So thanks, guys, for being with me. I don't know if you guys are out there or not. I don't know if I've lost mashing. Either way, mashing. Good luck, man. Good luck on that homebrew. I'm curious how that goes. As for Donald and Brent, I think I lost Brent a while back. I'll see Brent tomorrow morning. Donald, I hope you're out there and I hope you're doing good. Hope you're taking care of yourself and staying warm. As for everybody else who's on here, thank you for joining me again. And I will see you again tomorrow morning, because tomorrow is Wednesday and I can do a morning stream. And I wish for you all to have a good night and keep your eyes on the stars. Bye bye.